Hey guys, Eve the Koala here, and I want to welcome you to a new game series I am going to be doing, to where I'm going to look at a game/game series, and I'm going to analyze and review it. Now, the one I am doing now is the Batman Arkham series. Starting off, we're going to get right into it now with the combat. The combat system, it was very good. It was very clean and fluent. Now, that's not to say it didn't have its flaws. Occasionally, okay, not occasionally, but it would your combos would break quite easily in the early ones, in my opinion. Now with each new game in the series, it was improved upon and got better, with Arkham Knight being the best that we have so far. Now let's delve into our next section, Detective Mode. Now, while Detective Mode wasn't the absolute best way to incorporate a detective aspect, what it did bring to the tables was very unique and very good. If you guys remember, in Arkham Asylum, if I am correct, the only thing you did with Detective Vision was you followed the different particles in the air. You followed the trail, and it got you from point A to point B. In City, they expanded that to where you followed the particles in the air, and then you also followed like the different trajectories of bullets. And then, as well as in Wonder City, you used it to scan the robots and get their memories. Now if we delve into Origins, it brought I believe it had you follow the different particle trails. It had the bullet trajectories, and what it also did was it brought about the rewind, fast forward, and pause time feature, which a lot of people honestly did not like, but I did like it. It was very interesting, and it was very unique for what it did. Now at night, it really didn't add anything special except for the things it did with the Bat Tank, which honestly the Bat Tank is a completely other video on its own. Now we're going to go into our next category, the story. I think we can all agree that Arkham City had the best story of any game in the Arkham series. In my opinion, from best story, it goes from Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, Arkham Origins, and then Arkham Knight. Now, Arkham City had the various plot twists. You find out that Ra's al Ghul was actually the boss of Hugo Strange, and we find out that Clayface was playing a doppelganger of the Joker. In Asylum, being the first game in the series, it honestly had a very cliche storyline, being that there is a riot going on in a prison/asylum, and it is your job to stop it. The thing that makes it better than the last two games I'm about to talk about, is that it brought in the aspect of the Titan formula, and it had the Titan formula, and it also made the story very good, because in all honesty, without the Titan formula, it would have simply been just a prison riot game with Batman textures splattered on top of it. But the Titan formula, they gave it a story. We find out that Joker was paying Dr. Yum to experiment on Bane with his Venom serum. And then in Origins, we were told that Black Mask was going to be the focal point of the game, in which, yeah, I guess he was, but it was practically the Joker. Then in Arkham Knight, we as a community basically already knew the entire storyline before the game came out. We knew Batman was gonna die, We knew Adriel was going to play a role, not as big as a role as what was hinted as, but we also knew that the Arkham Knight was going to be Jason Todd. We pretty much knew that from the get-go. Now I'm going to move into my next section right now. Replayability. Now in Asylum, the storyline kinda gave you motives to replay it, but the big aspect was of the challenge map concept. In City, the story and New Game Plus made it it made you wanting to replay it, to make it harder on yourself and to see if you could be the Batman, in which they perfected the challenge map idea and concept. In Origins, the story was kinda fun to replay over again, but it wasn't as great as the other two. But in Arkham Knight, they completely ruined that. There's no replaying the story after you beat it, not even with New Game Plus, because it's honestly the entire playset for Arkham Knight is use the Bat Tank, use the Bat Tank, use the Bat Tank. That is it. Honestly, I would say that at least 80% of that game is you needing the Batmobile, which for a Batman game is terrible. The Batmobile should be used as a tool, and that tool should not have to be used every single time. And they completely ruined the challenge map. They ruined that. Now what we're left with is AR challenges, which are just dumb. We have they did bring back challenge maps sort of with DLC, but it shouldn't have been DLC. It simply should have been an update. Now then, let's recap the story as a whole. From chronological order. In Origins, we meet the Batman for the first time, and we find out he is not friends with the police. The police hate him, and the police are corrupt to the core, with the exception of Gordon and some of his officers. Then, in a jump forward quite a few years to Arkham Asylum, we find out that the Joker meant to be captured. He wanted to be captured for the fact that he wanted to take over the island because he knew he could, because he had paid a doctor, Dr. Yum, to he wanted Dr. Yum to make Bane's venom serum better and more potent and stronger. Then we jump from Asylum to City, and we find out that a man named Hugo Strange knows our identity, knows that we are Batman, had us arrested, and there is a thing called Protocol 10 being initiated. It's being initiated because he wants it to happen. We don't know what Protocol 10 is until the very end, but before then, what we find out is the Joker is dying, and he put his blood in our blood, so now we are dying, and to give us extra motive, he has poisoned Gotham as well. And the only way we can cure ourselves and everyone else in Gotham is to have Mr. Freeze help us. In which we then get to one of the best boss battles in the Arkham series, the Mr. Freeze boss battle. And then skip ahead a little bit. We then find out that Clayface has been playing a doppelganger of the Joker. We find out that Ra's al Ghul is actually the boss of Hugo Strange. And we find out Protocol 10 was a protocol to be placed for that if Arkham City had failed, that they would kill off all the inmates to cleanse in Roz and Hugo's Strange's minds was to cleanse Gotham. Then we jump 6 months later to Arkham Knight. Talia is still dead. Batman and a few other Gothamites are infected with Joker's blood, and we find out that Batman is hallucinating the Joker because of Scarecrow's fear toxin. Scarecrow has threatened to set off a massive fear bomb within Gotham, surrounding it in a cloud of fear. And he has a new henchman named the Arkham Knight. We then find out that the Arkham Knight is actually Jason Todd, in which they crammed down Jason Todd information down our throats so that we would hopefully feel bad for him, in which it doesn't work out that well, honestly. And then we get to the point to where if we don't turn ourselves into Scarecrow, he will kill Tim Drake and Gordon. So we turn ourselves in, and Scarecrow's goon drives us back to Arkham Asylum. And then he on live television reveals to the world that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Batman then lets Joker take the steering wheel and takes control of the body, meaning he takes full control of the big dose of fear toxin. He takes the big dose of fear toxin that Scarecrow jams into our throat. And then we find out that Batman kicks Joker out of his mind completely, and then Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Alfred supposedly die in a big explosion, in which the entire Wayne Manor is blown up. Now, the story as a whole, throughout the entire series, is a fairly good one. There is still room to make more games as prequels, obviously, because there's no doing sequels. Now then, let's think of this as a whole. Did the Arkham series contribute a decent enough storyline to the lore of Batman? The answer to that question is yes, it did. Now, were there some flaws and some continuity errors? Yes, there were. But so does almost every other piece of Batman literature. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this new video. Comment and like below. Comment below and like the video if you did. And if you want to see more of what I do, subscribe. Now, before I go, I want to say thank you to a Mr. Slickmoth who inadvertently helped me create this video. If you don't know who he is, I shall link in the description a link to his channel, and you can check out all of his different videos. So until next time, guys, goodbye.